Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your life path reading for 2022. Can you believe we are here already? So before we get into it, this first part of the reading is always, it's an overview. So what we're going to be looking at is 2022 as a 6 year. This is really important context because it's going to tell you how the year is likely to go in its trends, its themes, the energies that we're likely to experience. And that provides an important context and a backdrop for how we're all going to be experiencing this in, or rather, through the context of the universal year. But more importantly, how that energy is going to play out for us really speaks to how we experience our personal year. So that in itself as well is just as important. I will put a link for those personal year videos in the I'll put one in the description, and I'll put one on the little thing floating above my head so that you can get even more into it. But like I said, this part, don't skip it. It's really important that you get an idea of what we're going to be dealing with. And I will be going very in depth this time round. So let's get straight into it. So 2022 is a 6 year, as you now know. 6 is actually the number that is ruled by Venus. So we can definitely say that 2022 is going to be a much easier, a much slower paced year. It's going to be a much calmer year. What I will say as well, 2021 saw us, we kind of experienced a lot of change, right? A lot of upheaval, lots of sharp turns, lots of twists and turns, lots of surprises. It did see a lot of advances in technology, which I talked about. It did see a lot of advances in cryptocurrency, which I talked about in the 2020 videos, right? In the videos for 2021. So it's great to see that this kind of tracks. Now, in terms of the universal year being the number 6, it is tended towards like a slower pace. It's more focused, it's more connected. It's a lot less erratic as well, which is great for all of us, especially those of us that are already naturally a little bit erratic. It's going to be a year that is directed more towards altruism, a year that's directed more to support, to connection, to balance, harmony. It's definitely going to be a year where people really start to consider their own personal impact on things. So we're going to see this energy of accountability is going to start to become a really big or really powerful theme throughout 2022. Now, that accountability isn't just going to be for us on the microcosmic level. It's going to be for all of us on the macrocosmic level as well. So this is going to be about governments. This is going to be about people that are in charge, people that are heads of companies, heads of state, etc. There's going to be a lot more of people expecting others to be accountable for their actions and, more importantly, for their impact on the wider world. So as always, I've got my trusty notes here. So if I'm looking away, that's where I am. All right. So in a way, the buzzword for this number 6 year is responsibility. It's one of the biggest words that comes up for the energy of the number 6, right? So it's going to come sharply into focus for all of us in some way, shape or form. Who are we responsible for? Who are we responsible to? And more importantly, how do we meet those requirements? How is it that we really show up for what and who we are responsible for? And how do we play our part, right? Whether for the good or for the ill, as they say. So some of the considerations that are going to come up with this year, and these are definitely not, like, it's not just limited to the things that I mentioned. You'll see many trends and themes evolve over the year, but these are the ones that I've really honed in on because I kind of feel like these are going to be like they're going to be like the structure or the skeleton of the year that really kind of shows people, right, okay, this is where we're at. So domestic life, when it comes to your home, its contents, everybody that lives within, so people that you live with or, people that you want to live with. How can you get the most out of your home? How can you improve your home? There's going to be a lot of decorating, interior design is really going to take off this year or become a lot more prominent. People, doing more development on their homes. So that whole thing about construction of new homes, definitely going to be a theme throughout this year. The materials that we need in order to construct homes is also going to be a challenge over the course of this year. It's a continuation in a sense, yes, but these things are really going to be highlighted. How can you make your home look and feel better for yourself or for the people that are dwelling inside with you? what can you do to make your home a sanctuary, right? Because your house is what keeps you safe from the elements. It's what helps you shut the world outside out when you need to. It's supposed to be a sanctuary. It's supposed to be warm, you know, to be a place where all of your needs can be met regardless of what's happening. And I think a lot of people are really going to tap into that this year. Home, the hearth, the family, familial ties and connections, whether these are familial ties and connections that you choose or whether they're familial ties and connections that you're born to, is kind of going to be irrelevant this year. It's going to be all about how do we connect? How do we, you know, bring more of that connection in? These things are going to be more important than ever, so I do feel like those things will definitely expand. So on the wider world stage, this is likely to translate to a housing crisis. It might also be that we start to get more conscious of how can we eliminate the problem of homelessness. We might see a big drive towards how we can start to improve, you know, living life for people. It's ridiculous. It's just, sorry, excuse my language, but it's effing ridiculous that in 2022 we still have homeless people. It's just unfathomable. It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. Okay, rant over. Reining it in. All right, so this whole thing about, again, right, this disparity between wealth and, you know, the super wealthy and all the rest of it. Not only are we going to see more of a divide, but we're going to start to see more calls to action to shrinking that divide, to making things more equal, to making things more balanced. Remember, this number is ruled by Venus. Venus is all about balance. It's all about harmony. It's all about smoothing off the rough edges. So it's probably going to see us highlighting what we can do for those that are homeless in some way, shape or form. So another thing that I've got here as well is cleanliness. So I believe that over the course of this year, we're going to see a much more, we're going to be more focused on cleanliness, and how that can be a part of our daily routines, which I find this really interesting as well, because in ancient astrology, Demetra George writes in one of her books that one of the things that is assigned to Aquarius is cleanliness, right? Which is really interesting to me because Saturn, the ruler of Aquarius, is in the sign of Aquarius. So I found that really interesting that as soon as we had this, yes, we had the pandemic and the shutdown and the lockdown and stuff, but we also had this really, you know, powerful, stringent drive towards being more clean. Now, what I will say is what I've got here is, what is clean? How do we clean? And I think this is going to see a lot of developments on the wider world stage on how we can cleanse or clean our lives, our homes and our bodies, but in ways that aren't toxic to us or the environment. So there's going to be a lot of developments on how we can work in harmony or in tandem with nature rather than fighting with it in some way, which I think is great, right? So we're probably going to see new technologies and things developed when it comes to cleanliness. I think this is going to have a lot to do with sound and frequency. I've got this really, you know, powerful hit when I was doing all of the research for this year, that these are going to be some of the ways that we really tap into this idea of cleansing ourselves, cleansing our space, cleansing our body. And remember, everything at the end of the day is vibration and frequency. So I think we're going to see a lot to do with developments on that front. We'll definitely be paying more attention to our oceans, our seas, our rivers and our lakes. There's going to be big focus on how to clean up our water supply, because if we don't have water, it don't matter how rich, what your status, where you're from, if you ain't got water, you ain't got life. Period, right? Clean water is a necessity for everybody. So there's going to be more money and attention placed on the vital waters of life. I definitely believe that. That being said, new developments in blood cleansing and vaccinations. I definitely feel 2026 is where we're going to see a massive advancement towards a cure or a vaccine for HIV and various other illnesses as well. So when it comes to healing, we're definitely going to see a big focus on this as well. A lot of the new age methods will start to really gain prominence. Now, when I say new age, what I actually mean is ancient ways of healing. herbalism, medical astrology, sound, frequency, vibration, all of those things, energy healing. We're going to see all of these things really start to come to the fore. Natural, non-toxic, non-invasive ways of healing are going to really prevail over this year. And here's the beauty of it. I don't think that this is going to pit us at odds with the medical tradition. I actually feel like we're going to start to see a dovetail. This is where we're going to start to see how can we fuse these things? How can we really find ways to integrate the two, which will be brilliant. I definitely think we're going to see an expansion of such things. Sound healing, frequency, vibrational healing will definitely come to the fore. I also think that medical science is definitely going to advance this year. Like, I really believe that. But as a result, I think we're going to see more and more of a crossover between the two. If not a global level, then at least at a grassroots level. And that grassroots level of everything is going to be very important this year, because we're going to see a lot more of that. All right, we're going to start to see less of the we're going to start to see it more on the microcosmic level, let's say. Herbalism, definitely going to be a revival. Green get together and more group healing work as well is definitely going to start to expand. So when we talk about spiritual progression, to be spiritual is to be organized and in harmony with all that surrounds you and all that you encounter. So just like its upside down counterpart, the number 6 has a natural draw towards leaving the world and people better than you find them, right? 6 is actually the number that is all about responsibility and service. It's the energy of the agony aunt or the healer or the mystic or the the maintenance or the caregiver, right? So it's all about leaving things and people or even environments better than you find them. We're going to see a lot of this year and a lot of drive towards that. This energy as well can be known as the fixer energy. So it takes problems, challenges and issues, and it will lovingly and painstakingly work on them until they're dissipated or removed altogether. It's actually a very spiritual number in that sort of sense, and because the highest form of spirituality is to be of service to the universe in some way, shape or form. I truly believe that. Now, this is it's what I've put here is it's the cleansing ritual before the magic and the enchantment of the year 7 2023 kicks in, right? So for those of you that are into this kind of thing, 6 is the year of the clearing and the cleansing of the space before you set your enchantment or your intention forth in the 7 or the spiritual sphere. All right, so it's an important aspect or a part of this that people often overlook, right? So remember, all steps are important in the process of manifesting something. You can't leave one out, and that means not leaving out the cleansing stage as well. All right, so on the wider world stage, we're definitely going to see more care towards service providers, healthcare workers and professionals, people that actually showed up for us when it really bleeping mattered. Like, we're going to see a lot more kindness and courtesy towards those people, if not from the oligarchs and all of the hierarchical stuff, certainly from the people on the ground below. All right, so support and connection. This is a very supportive energy. It's very connective. 6 has that natural pull, that natural draw towards harmonizing things, bridging the gaps between things that maybe don't have any connection and finding a way to create one. It means as well taking form from one thing to give to another. So this may very well see, so 2020 and 2021 we saw a lot of wealth transference from the majority of the people to the minority of the people. 2022 is going to start to see the opposite. It's the way that universal law works, right? You can't have something that is unbalanced. The universe doesn't like it, just like it doesn't like a vacuum, right? So it's very, very interesting to see how this will come out. This divide between the wealthy and the poor, we're definitely going to see more of a spotlight on it. If it goes ignored, there will be a lot of noise and a relentless drive towards making it better for everybody as opposed to just a certain few. So let that be a universal warning to those those that are in charge. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a vessel. This will definitely be the starting of the community living. So lots of people have talked about this, and we know it's coming through in the astrology as well. 2022 is where we're really going to see this stuff start to happen. It's actually going to become a reality. We're going to see communities popping up left, right and center. People will be demanding more connection, more community, more sense of pulling together. If they don't get it, and it's not present in the world, then they'll just create it themselves. It will literally just be that, like, okay, well, what we want and what we need isn't being provided, so we'll do it our damn selves. And once we've done that, there's not going to be any standing in our way because we declare our own, right? So, you know, I love it. It will definitely be more about people coming together and living together as well. More sharing, more caring is the name on is the name and the number of Venus. Beauty and romance. So while this number is very practical, it's also very Venusian in a sense. It does appreciate anything and everything natural. We're going to see a draw towards more sort of neutral colors, lots more pastel colors, things that are a lot more things that are a lot more pleasing to the eyes, things that are lighter, brighter and more caring. So 2021 was a lot about sort of, you know, what was really in your face and really bold and really deep and all the rest of it, whereas 2022 is going to be a lot more sort of smoother. So I've put here pastels in greens, yellows and blues. Gentle color palettes are definitely going to be way more favorable, as will gentle makeups, anything that is natural, that's kind to the skin, that's kind to the environment, that's easy to make without destroying the environment. All of this going to be to the fore. Startups that promise to be you know, kind to the environment, or to offer more in the way of you know, kindness to flora and fauna will definitely come up over the course of this year for sure. Also, the demand for more greenery, the demand for more natural feel to things, for more open spaces, more room for animals, more connection to, with and for nature is going to be to the forefront. And again, if we don't get it, people will just start to create it. People are definitely going to start walking away from cities, anywhere that's too built up, where you're living on top of each other like, you know, sardines and stuff. It's just not the way of it anymore. People want more space, more openness and more freedom where they can gather more together. And, you know, again, if they don't get it, they'll just make it themselves. They want clean, fresh, natural, open spaces that have a community or communal feel to it. There's a need or a call for more. That's where the money's going to be flowing as well. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about all of the things that I've mentioned are going to come up over the course of this year, because this is just the seeding of it. It's not like, oh, here it's 2022 and that's all that's going to be, and, you know, then it's done. This is like literally, that's, you know, this is the chance really for you to get ahead of the next gold rush, I guess. All right, so what people will be interested in. People are going to be interested in things and people that roll up their sleeves and get stuck in and help others. The beauty is in the dirt, in the mud, in the sweat, in the beauty, in the fucking crotch of everything that you are, right? This is about getting stuck into things with the deepest aspects of yourself. It's not about surface stuff. It's about coming together. It's about really being accountable and responsible, and, you know, thinking about other people rather than just yourself. Those are going to be the things that are sexy this year. That's going to be the stuff that really gets people fired up. The elements and how they affect and change us: rain on the skin, air in the lungs, grass under your toes and in between your toes, and sand in your toes. I get really excited because I'm a hobbit at heart. You know, give me a tree to put my back to, a book, maybe some music, don't necessarily need it, and you know, a wide open expanse with my toes in the grass. You got me for life. I'm happy. I don't need much. All right, we'll definitely see a lot of kickback between companies and their workers. Why? 6 is the number of the home and the hearth. And as I said to you last year, this whole idea of going back to the office, a lot of people are just done with it. They're over it. They don't want it, right? And they will continue to kind of hold back from that. So a word to companies, etc. Think about ways that you can sort of maybe create a more blended feel where people can spend more time at home and some time in the office. Because if you try to just get them to come back to this whole 9 to 5 in the grind thing, it's just not going to work. It's already started falling apart. All right, people want comfort, connection, community, and ease. That's got more weight than the high-powered career this year, right? 6 is bringing a reckoning. It really is. Okay, so Jupiter falling or moving into the sign of Pisces is directly feeding into all of this. So Jupiter is the great magnifier, the great expander, the great lord of abundance and growth, children and spiritual law. So I've said this before and I will definitely say it again. I think we're going to see a massive drive to, not drive towards, but I think we're going to see a lot of babies born in 2022 for sure. The big man of kings and universal law is what I've put here. All of it sounds wonderful for the most part, and it is. But consider this, Pisces is the 12th sign. It's a placement of a lot of politics and people that are in politics, which means we might see as well, I think we're going to see a few meteoric rises of certain politicians or people that kind of seem to come out of nowhere and all of a sudden find themselves, you know, at the top with lots of followers or really, you know, standing out in their message or in their speech. If they meet the needs and the wants and the will of the people, they will survive. If not, it will be a collective thumbs down. It's going to be more and more that the will of the people starts to rule from here on in. So again, let that be a message to those of you that are in charge. So Pisces is all things and no thing at once. It's got no boundaries. It's a double-bodied water sign. As such, it's got no boundaries, and it means that we do have quite a lot to consider in this sense, because if Jupiter expands things and Pisces has no boundaries, this is like literally an expansion of that boundlessness. So this is something to consider. It's also going to be, I talked about the huge wave of babies that might be coming in from here on in. We now see a dissolving of certain ideas and also places. The European Union might start to crumble or dissolve. Not saying it will, but just an idea. Borders between countries may also start to come down, or the lines may get very blurred. Neptune's already in Pisces, so we're going to see a lot of legalized drugs this year. And maybe in places where they haven't been before, or maybe places where it's been a little bit more taboo, etc. I think we're definitely going to see a drop in the crime rate, which I talked about in, if any of you purchased my 2022 videos, I talked a lot about this for 2022 in those. So if you've seen the sign videos, then you know I talked about this. Whatever has been hidden will come to light in powerful ways. And then finally, as Jupiter is the ruler of spiritual law, we're going to see more than a few cases of miracles, but it's also going to be vital to have your wits about you, right? It's important that you don't allow yourself to be hoodwinked this year, because there are going to be a few rises of gurus, etc. And as we drive towards more people cultivating a need for spirituality, especially as we get to 2023, it's going to be important to use your own discernment, especially for some of the stuff that we see, because we might see some weird stuff in 2022 still. You know, just be aware that that is the case. Now, I have said to everybody, building a solid spiritual practice for 2022 is going to be vital, because that spiritual practice and that spiritual work that you do in 2022 is going to offer you the life raft or the rope to get you through the murky weirdness that is going to be 2023. I make no bones about saying this, right? For those of you that have seen the webinar that I did with Heather from Astrology with Heather, we talked about the next 5 years from 2020 right through to 2025. It's going to be an interesting time for sure, but 2023 was the year that really stood out to me as being like, okay, yeah, this is going to be a really weird year, right? We're going to see some odd stuff 2022, but it will be the real weird sort of murky what the hell is going on. That will be 2023. So finally, energy medicine, witchcraft, occult things, astrology, numerology, tarot, human design, all of these systems are going to be more in demand than ever. We might see some kickback from them. Integrity is going to be everything. Those tarot readers, astrologers, numerologists, human design readers, witches, all the rest of it. The ones that have integrity will be the ones that really do well this year. Remember, Jupiter is in its home sign of Pisces. So while there'll be an expansion of these things, it will be the ones that have integrity, the ones that are on point, the ones that are not charlatans, basically, that will be the ones that continue to grow, whereas everybody else will kind of fall to the wayside. And then finally, let me be clear, the age of the guru, while coming to an end, will be going out with a bang. All right, so you're going to have to see this. And I do feel that we're going to see a lot of, not a lot of, but certainly some of the bigger ones will be taking a tumble because the smoke and mirrors energy just not going to cut it this year. All in all, I think this can be a very beautiful year, maybe one that is a little bit excessive, possibly even a little bit pedantic in its energies. Remember, it is Venus ruled, so maybe the dark side is that people just want more luxury because they've been denied so many things. But it is going to be lighter, it is going to be brighter, it is going to be easier, more down to earth, and certainly better than anything we've experienced over the course of the last 3 years. With that said, stick around and we will get into your life path reading for 2022. Thank you so much. Take care and I'll see you soon. Hello, you wonderful Life Path 3 person. Welcome to your 12-month breakdown for 2022. Before we get into it, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your year ahead, how is this going to affect you? How does this 6 year interact with your own numerology, and what might be some of the trends, themes and energies that are going to come up for you over the course of the year ahead? So this is definitely a year where you want to start considering what you're ready to release, what you're ready to let go of, what you're ready to phase out. Got my trusty notes here as always. So ask what you want, and this is a time as well for you to ask yourself, what do you want and what do you need? And more importantly, what is it that you need on a soul level to feel nurtured, to feel nourished in some way, shape or form? Also, this is a great year to ask yourself, what can you give more of? Where is it that you can be a help to other people? Now, when we talk about giving, it's not always about finance. It's not always about stuff. Sometimes it's your time, your energy. Sometimes it's the inner resources that you have. Sometimes it's just an ear to listen or a shoulder to cry on, so to speak. This would be a good year for you to really find ways of doing more for your community, doing more for anyone really, especially those that can't necessarily do so much for themselves. Artistic and creative things will nourish and soothe your soul this year. They absolutely will. And one of the things that I will say as well, all creative pursuits should be given some sort of consideration. Now, what I mean by that is, think about ways for you to get into being creative. It doesn't always have to be music, drama, dance, like expressive, interpretive dance or anything like that, although that would be wonderful. I did threaten to do interpretive dance tarot readings once, which went down a storm. Everyone's still waiting and will be waiting a very long time. All jokes aside, ask yourself, what is your method or medium of creativity or tapping into your own inner inspiration in some way, shape or form? This would be a really good year to figure that out. How, what does creativity mean to you? How do you tap into your own creative flow? Nature and natural settings will truly hold magic for you this year. I cannot stress this, whether this is the animal kingdom, maybe, getting a pet or spending more time with animals. getting out into nature, you know, your toes in the grass, toes in the sand, all that good stuff. Like, that is, you know, I always prescribe that for everything. Not that I can prescribe anything, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional, but you get my point. I always tell people that you'll always find answers in nature, right? No matter how technologically advanced we get, no matter what star system anybody believes that they're from or they're channeling, we were born here on and to the earth. And so therefore, even when we become galactic beings, there's always going to be a part of us that will be soothed, that will be nourished by the earth and everything that it has to offer, right? So this year, find ways to connect to the natural world, because you will always find answers there, in my humble opinion. What I've also got here as well, wrap things up, be ready to cleanse and reboot, right? This is a big one for this year. Give away old clothes, get rid of clutter, declutter your life, your mind, your space, your energy. You know, just find ways of really simplifying your life this year, and you will absolutely win, right? This is a really great way for you to get ahead this year. As you're a number 3 life path person, you're already deeply creative anyway. So this could be the year that you know, decide to write that book. Maybe you decide to get into something of a literary nature. Maybe you decide to start sharing something with the world that is what you feel creative. Yeah, wrapping up cycles this year. Whatever and whoever leaves your life this year, let them go with grace and poise, right? Grace and poise, very much 6 energies, but letting them go and releasing them, this is the best way to do it. If anyone or anything decides that they want or need to leave your life, don't hold them captive, don't hold them prisoner, and more importantly, don't hold them back to your own detriment. Whatever or whoever is ready to leave this year, let it go with grace, all right? And then finally, give yourself plenty of time for love, connection, friendship, spending time laughing, giggling until your belly hurts and your cheeks ache. This is the kind of stuff that you want to get into this year, right? So, and obviously, you know, there are always going to be parts of life that are serious. That's life in general. But this year, really take a minute to give yourself the best, give yourself and others the best of yourself, to, you know, the happiness, the laughter, the lightness, the joy. Find those things within yourself and then give them away, right? Because the more you make others laugh, the more laughter and reasons there will be for you to laugh in your life. The more laughter and the more smiles you give out in life, the more that are likely to find you. It's just like gratitude. Gratitude is a brilliant practice for this year as well. If you can really tap into, like, get into a gratitude practice, whatever it might be, it doesn't have to be big or elaborate. It just has to be done in earnest. All right. Now, your blessings for this year: loving life, right? You're going to be living and loving life. This year is going to be a lot more sociable anyway, so you life path 3 people are probably all like, oh, thank God for that. So giving freely, right? One of the secrets of the energy of this year is the more freely you give, the more freely you will receive. And then finally, releasing the old, letting go of old patterns, old cycles, old habits, old beliefs. You might really shed some stuff this year, and, you know, if the more we shed on the internal level, the more we're able to shed on the external level. I truly believe that, because it's something that I'm going through myself at this moment in time. So if you're wanting to trim down and slim down, release on that inner level so that your physical body can release with it. All right. So this will be a really good way to use your time. Some of the challenges that might come up for you this year: you might be tempted to go to extremes. Very possible. Taking stuff too personally, all right? This year you might find you're a little bit more sensitive than usual, and if that is the case, you'll be quickly and easily irritated. So just be aware again that that energy is floating around in the ether, so make sure that it's not sort of, you know, doing its best, or should, you know, or its worst, let's say. This could be a year where you might end up depleting yourself if you give too much, right? Give freely, give openly, but know when to say, Okay, enough's enough. All right. And then finally, this may not necessarily be the best year unless specifically you are in a personal year one. This may not necessarily be the best year for you to start something new. All right. This would be more of a year for completions, culminations, and endings. So with that said, check out your personal year. There will be a link in the description box below to show you how to calculate it, and more importantly what that might mean once you've got it. And you know, if you haven't seen your 2022 sign readings, those are up and out there for your purchasing pleasure. I'll put one of those floaty things about by my head. All right, so let's get into your 12-month breakdown for the year ahead for January. So what's important here is that your first card out kind of sets the tone for the year, right? It kind of tells you roughly, you know, what you're going to get, what you're going to be getting, what you're going to be experiencing for a lot of this year. But it really kind of, you know, how we start things is often how we complete them, although not always. For January, you have the Wheel of Fortune. This is really interesting, right? So this is the second time for a different number life path. Third, actually, the second. And with a completely different deck, that the Wheel of Fortune has shown up as the card for January, right? So this tells me that on the wider world stage, we are likely to be seeing some big shift, some big change, and quite possibly some shift or change within the travel industry and or sector. So I wonder what that is going to be. All right, now on a more personal level, this is really nice, right? This is luck, success, abundance. This is the satisfactory completion to some of your endeavors. It's about you being able to see some of the rewards and the results for the hard effort, the hard work that you've already put in. This could be a really wonderful month. It could also be a really great year for you to get ahead. Now, what I often say to people with this card is, wherever you find yourself being led, wherever you find yourself being sort of, kind of consider yourself a tumbleweed in January, right? So wherever you end up is where you are supposed to be. Don't fight it, don't challenge it, don't judge it. Just let it be, let it come to fruition, because the chances are you will find that you are in the right place at the right time for some sort of spontaneous blessing. All right, this is one of the things that I love about this card. It also does speak to the results that we get from the hard efforts, or from the efforts that we've put in. If we've worked hard, patiently and diligently towards something, our results are going to be great. And if we haven't, our results are going to be so-so, right? So this could be a month where you're seeing the result of what you put out into the world in some way. As a direction card, you have the Justice card. So this will be some interesting mandates, I think, about travel. This will probably be seeing some kind of, so there's a double hit of legal stuff here. One, because we've got the Justice card, which is legalities, contracts, signing paperwork, etc. But you've got this on top of the Wheel of Fortune, which is Jupiter ruled. Jupiter has links to the law. Now, if you saw mine and Heather's talk on the Wheel of Fortune, we talked about the Wheel of Fortune being the universal law, the one that is immutable, that none of us are exempt from, right? So this could be a powerful month, but it could just as easily tell you that over the course of this year, there are going to be many new contracts, many new partnerships that are coming through, that are starting to come into fruition. But it could also be that this is the end of commitments for some of you. Remember, it's a wheel. It doesn't always go up, it doesn't always go down, right? So this could be a really, I would say to you, over the course of this year, expect a lot of change and a lot of flux. So there are going to be some high moments and there are going to be some trough moments. So all in all, kind of like, you know, life in general. Now, whatever contract is being set forth, put into motion over the course of January, the chances are you are going to end up having to revise this, or it's not going where you thought it would. So if you've got a home purchase, if you've got some sort of travel on the cards, if you have, you know, if you've got something that you thought was set and concrete, January might throw a little bit of a spanner in your works. But remember what I said, the detours, the delays, the finding ourselves in a different space or a different place to where we were supposed to be, it's all taking you to where you're meant to be, right? And the reason I can say this because it is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, remember, Venus is going to be retrograde right up to and including the 29th of January. On top of that, Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th of January from the sign of Aquarius back into the sign of Capricorn. So that Capricorn energy, you know, it wasn't just 2020 and that's it, we're done. We've got a whole heap more of it coming up here as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For February, you have the Sun card. Light, heat, blessings, ultimate joy. Love this, right? And it's right next to the Wheel of Fortune and the Justice card. Whatever detours show up for you in January, whatever delays are taking place for you in January, trust that they are divinely inspired and divinely orchestrated to move you to your highest good, to move you to your highest vibration, to where you're actually meant to be. It does look like some of you might be traveling in January and also in February. And if that is the case, just remember, with so much retrograde energy in the air, you just want to make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get to where it is that you're going. You just, especially if you've got meetings, like important meetings, important documents and stuff to sign around this time, just be very conscious or very mindful with that sort of stuff. On top of that, you've got the Lovers card, right? All right. So for those of you that are single, January and February specifically though, could be a time where you are either meeting someone, aligning with someone, where a relationship, you know, maybe you started off as, you know, you were just seeing this person to see how it might go. You know, this is where you get exclusive. This is where your relationship really begins to shine. This is where you really decide, you know what, this is my person. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments already, this is your relationship going to the next level. And this is happiness, it's joy and abundance within the relationship. This is you choosing a partner and it feels like the absolute right choice. Whether anybody else agrees with it or, you know, is or isn't behind you or whatever is irrelevant. It feels like the right choice to you. It feels like the right connection. This, I mean, you know, this is a blessed union. The Lovers card itself speaks about blessed unions. The fact that you've got the Sun card here, your private, personal, intimate relationship is being highlighted in some way, shape or form, and that is where you find your strength. It's where you find your courage. It's where you're finding your love and your, you know, almost that feeling of being settled. It's just a really, really lovely energy, I have to say. Now, this also represents, because remember the Lovers card is also choice, and this is on the Sun card. So this suggests that you could be handed a choice to do something or not do something, as the case may be. Because of what you've got here in January, I wonder if this is, maybe there's a contract of some sort. Maybe you've decided you want to move and you're in a lease, right? And you're like, oh crap. So, you know, I've still got 6 months to go. You contact the landlord or the letting agents and they say to you, yeah, actually, you know what, if you want out early, no problem. Like we'll happily go down that route. Or maybe you decide to leave a job and they say to you, okay, you know what, actually we've got another position coming up and we'd really think, you know, we think that you would be great for that. Are you interested in staying with us but in a different capacity? There's something here that where you're being given an option to do something different or to get out of something, but it presents a much better opportunity. For March, you have the Magician card, right? So March is a powerful month for you. If you are a Life Path 3 person, this is definitely going to be a month where communication is going to be high. There's going to be a lot of information going back and forth, not just on the wider world stage, but on a personal level. A lot of Gemini energy here as well, February into March. This is really interesting as well, because out of all of the readings so far, this one has been the one where it's like a complete storyline, as it were. So this is very interesting to me. What I'll also say as well, March could be some moment of recognition. This could be some sort of, you know, where you're being recognized for your efforts, for your hard work, where you're stepping onto or into a new level in some way. Wow. All right, so Power Month alert. Like, this is crazy, right? Like, that's superpower, like for you personally. If there's something that you want to launch, if there's something that you want to share with the world, if there's something that you want to, if you want to write a blog, if you want to write a book, if you want to start a YouTube channel, March is your absolute power month. This is where people are hearing your words. People are taking you on board. People are taking you seriously. You come across as a master at what you do, as a mover and shaker in your field. I cannot stress this enough. If you're a Life Path 3 person, March is a power month for you. It's really interesting as well because March is the 3rd month of the year. You are a Life Path 3 and we're in a 6th year, which is 2 times 3, right? So there's this kind of really interesting energy going on here. 3 itself is a magic number. If you're thinking about studying any form of occult science or wisdom, whether this is tarot, numerology, look out for my tarot course. The next one will be in March. Whether this is tarot, numerology, I Ching, human design, you know, oh, gosh, I can't even think at the moment. Witchcraft, paganism, you know, all of the things that we consider magical or spiritual in some way. March is a great month for you to get started on some form of learning as well. All right. So as we come into April, we've got the first eclipse of the year. We're into eclipse season. On the 30th of April, we're going to have the Taurus solar eclipse. So this is a grand beginning in some way, shape or form. If you know where these hit for you and you are interested, get your 2022 reading, because I go into a lot more detail there than I will be in these, right? But first of the eclipses here in April, you have the High Priestess, right? So hidden things revealed. This could be a powerful moment of realization for you. And the High Priestess next to the Magician card, that is a very rare signature. And usually the High Priestess coupled with the Magician literally speaks to teaching, learning, or walking a path of true magical knowledge. This would be finding a witch mentor. It would be finding somebody to teach you like the deeper sort of stuff. This would be finding somebody that is, you know, a good teacher, somebody that would really take you from novice right through to really being proficient at something. It's a very rare signature. This doesn't show up a lot at all. And I'll tell you, so when I first went pro, I think it was like the 2nd reading that I ever did, this combination came up, and I said to the guy, like, I see you doing ceremonies, like I see you doing sacred site worship, all of this, you know, stuff was coming to me about these like really big, grandiose, magical stuff. And it turned out he would take people to the pyramids in Egypt and perform ceremonies and stuff and teach them all various different stuff about the occult and the esoteric sciences. So this is, you know, it's powerful stuff. This could be a moment of realization for some of you as well. April could be a month where you have a powerful psychic activation. This could be a moment, an event, something that shows up for you that makes you kind of go like, whoa, okay, like, you know, you could really feel this. And it comes up, of course, with the Judgment card, right? So for those of you that are into ancestral worship, spiritual ancestors practices, ancestral spiritual practices, or finding or connecting to the spiritual practices of your ancestors, April is a powerful month. Now, for some of you, we do need to talk about something else that could come up here as well. April could be a month where some big family secret, some big family knowledge is revealed, right? And it could be anything from, you know, your grandmother dies and says, you know, touch wood, like, sorry, I'm not laughing at that, but you get my point. Like, and, you know, just as they're on their way out, they say, oh, by the way, you know, my kids were actually from a different father. Or, you know, actually, I've been sitting on the fact that we are millionaires. Or, do you know what? Like, it could be some family secret that comes to light. It might not be so detrimental. It might not be so great, you know, but it does look like some sort of family secret, something from the deep past of the family is going to come up. And when it does, I think that there's going to be this really it could be a real WTF moment, all right? So just consider that April is it's an eclipse, right? So all bets are off in a sense. All right, for May, for the second eclipse, you have the Fool card. I gotta say, this is probably the most interesting one that I've done so far. Now, May 16th, you are going to have the Scorpio eclipse, which will be the bookend to this eclipse season. There will be another one at the latter end of the year. Now, this eclipse is a lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. And at the time, we're going to have Mercury retrograding out of the sign of Gemini and back into the sign of Taurus. So we've got this crossing the borders between air and earth over the course of this year. So sky and sea keep harm from me, as I believe one of the old sayings goes. Now, the Fool card, new things, new places, new people, new energies, right? This, although it is a lunar eclipse, I do believe, because you've got the Fool card here, this could be some surprise beginning that shows up for you in a way that you hadn't expected. Because you've got the High Priestess here, so you've got the supernal triangle, actually, which is, you know, really powerful. March, April and May, you've got the Fool, the Magician and the High Priestess. That's known as the supernal triangle, especially when you're talking about it from the Kabbalistic sort of idea. Way too much to get into for here, but it's an observation that I'm making because I'm like, okay, so there's obviously something big happening for you guys across that, you know, the end of the first quarter and going into the second. Now, new things, new places, new people, new energy with this Fool card, but also I think out of the two, I mean, both of these eclipses actually seem to be hitting you with some very fated stuff. So it's going to be a very, very interesting year for sure. And this comes up with the Nine of Cups, right? So this is gorge. Look at that, right? So not only is it new things, new places, new people, this Scorpio lunar eclipse, I believe, is going to be kinder to you than a lot of the other life paths. It does look like this is a spontaneous wish that is fulfilled. Now, remember the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, but with the Fool card, this could be a moment, a pure moment of pure destiny that shows up for you that has you kind of going, never in my wildest dreams, like I've wanted this, I've waited for it, I've worked for it, never had these kind of results. Maybe something that you do goes viral. Maybe I don't know, you wake up one morning and a celebrity has shouted out your business. Maybe you, I don't know, run into a celebrity on the side of the road because their tire is punctured and you've got all the right bits and bobs that you need in your car to assist them. There's something here that suggests that you are really helping, you're getting a helping hand from the universe, but it comes very much out of surprise. It's not something that you can control or something that you will be in control of. This will be something that literally just happens to you or for you. All right. So as we come into June, you have the World card. So this does suggest that your community could be coming up for review, whether this is your social circle, whether it is the people that you are connected to or tied to in some way. This could be really as well, this could be a moment of pure personal mastery. Whatever shows up for you in May, it kind of feels like June is going to be the moment where it fully expresses. So this could be, you know, maybe you're being invited into some inner circle of some kind. Maybe you're being invited into, you know, the VIP lounge. That's probably the best way to put it. And this comes up with the Page of Wands, right? So something that you have to say, something that you are sharing with the world, something that you are ready to put out there really has the best, you know, it's got the best chance for success. I mean, so far, what an amazing year. What a powerful year as well. Like, holy crap. Now, the Page of Wands very often messages. So this could be something that comes from overseas. This could also be some sort of interaction with a bigger or a broader community. So if you've got a product that you want to launch, if there's, you know, a new blog post or a new video or something else that you want to do that you need a community for, and let's face it, it's, you know, 2022 is a 6th year, so we all need community in some way. And plus, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you get my point. This would be a power month to do so as well, right? So if you miss the boat on March on something, your next best port of call would be June, all right? For July, you have the Moon card, right? So this is where we're probably going to start to head into some more challenging territory. So, I mean, you know, be grateful. Look at that. Your first half of the year is absolutely bloody stellar, right? So as we come into June, you've got the Moon card. This could be where the past comes to visit, right? Something may come back up. This could be a pattern. It could be a cycle. You've got the Moon card and the World card in close proximity here. And that usually talks about a very big personal cycle of some kind. You know, one that maybe stretches back, you know, up to and including 21 years of your life. This could be a, you know, a real sort of full circle moment. So pay attention to what's coming up around this moment in time. And you have the Sun card, right? I stand corrected. So this could, actually, no, I don't stand corrected. I stand by what I said. This could be something that comes around from your deep past. Maybe something or someone that you never thought you would see again. This could be, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I have tons of stuff from when I was younger that I said, one day I'd like to do this. One day I'd like to be that. One day, you know, we've all got something. This could be one of those moments where something that you wanted to manifest over the years shows up for you, right? This could be literally one of those kind of crazy moments where it's like you come full circle and you think, wow, I remember the day that I made the wish for this to happen in my life, and here I am. On another way that you could look at this as well, because it's the Sun and the Moon, so that's, you know, masculine and feminine energy that comes together. This could be a point of conception. Now I'm going to put my money on, if you're hoping to conceive or to get pregnant, May right the way through July. It's absolutely possible. So if you're looking to start a family, that time of the year looks absolutely strong for it, with July being a highlight point. And then finally, and actually May looks like a highlight point as well, but this whole sort of part here, all very, very good. And then the other way that this could show up with that Sun card as well, excuse me, some kind of, this could be a personal fear that you've had. This could be a moment at which you release something that you're afraid of, or you release the fear around it. For August, you have the Chariot card. So months of travel, actually, I haven't talked about this, but your travel months, very likely to be June, July, and possibly August as well, and maybe even February, but we'll see. The Chariot, right? Victory, success, absolutely. But it comes up with the Five of Cups, right? So, I mean, one way that this could show up, maybe some trip or journey that you had hoped to take in August doesn't go ahead. Maybe something comes up and it's no longer possible. Remember what I said to you about the Wheel of Fortune. Wherever there are delays, wherever there are detours, wherever there is you having to go in a different direction to the one that you set out on, there is destiny, there is the world, there is the universe stepping in on your behalf to deliver you to something much better. Now, I'll be honest with you, the first sort of 7 months of the year are cracking for you, all right? So don't fret, all right? You lose out on maybe one trip, one part of travel. It's not that big a deal. It really isn't in the grand scheme of everything that looks amazing. So September, you have the Hermit card. And you've got this with the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year. And this is going to be retrograding out of the sign of Libra into the sign of Virgo, right? You've got this Hermit card here, so you've got a double hit of this Virgo energy at this point. especially because the sun will be in Virgo, Mercury will be coming back into Virgo, so there is definitely an emphasis on Virgo-like things. With this Hermit card, this is a time where I have to say to you, do your due diligence, whatever that means to you. If there's something that you need to research, dig into it. If there's something that you need to know, even if this is on a personal level as well, this is the time to be about it, right? This is the time where you really do need to show up. You can't, this is not a time where you can do a half job, right? You got to show up in the full sense, in the full way. And this comes up with the Knight of Swords, right? So for those of you that have them, either personally or in the family, a Virgo, no, I'm lying, ignore me. But this, yeah, see, look, it comes up with the Knight of Swords. This will be a time where you will probably want or need to spend more time alone. But that Knight of Swords is saying that you may not have the opportunity. All right, so if you find suddenly like, you know what, I just want to spend some time alone, or I need some time out, you may not be given that courtesy. All right, this might be something that you know, maybe feels quite frustrating or feels quite limited. Don't fret too much. All right, this is just a time for you to really get into it and say, okay, I'm not in control here, so I just have to go with whatever's showing up for me. And then because it's on the Hermit card as well, this could also be some sort of journey that you are taking that maybe you had planned to take with others, but you're having to go alone. I kind of want to urge you against that. If there is a trip that you're supposed to take in August that doesn't go ahead, and then in September you think, oh, you know, I'm going to go on my own, I would urge you not to. All right, September, don't travel on your own, please. For October, as you come into the second eclipse season of the year, so we've got the Scorpio solar eclipse, which I'm slightly more here for. I do believe it's going to be much nicer on the 25th of October. This is a grand initiation point, right? So this is a grand beginning in some way. And for that, you have the Lovers card, which we've seen before in February. Right, so this is a time where very likely there's going to be a big, I almost want to say like a big decision, but it's a big decision that will affect several people, but it seems to be on your shoulders alone. As that is the case, you are going to need all of your wits about you, and you are going to need to use all of your skills. All right, so just keep that in mind. And you've got this with the Ten of Cups, right? What gorgeous pairing. So for those of you that are I just had to count them out just to make sure. My money for conception, for babies, for baby making is on February, and it looks like you'll be giving birth here in October, or your significant other will be giving birth, or a family member might be giving birth, but there's a baby being born here, and I will call this a literal birth. Yes, metaphorical, new business, new venture, new idea, new belief structure, all of the rest of it, but I'm talking about an actual baby will be born in October that is conceived in February of 2022. So very, very interesting. Now, that being said, because you've got this Ten of Cups here, for some of you, this could be you deciding to move. This could be you deciding to maybe uproot your life in some way, to take things in a completely different direction to the one that you set off on. And because it is the Ten of Cups, it suggests that whatever decision you're making, it affects more people than you. I got that feeling just from the Lovers card. It's like something here around October is on your shoulders. You're making the decision, but the decision doesn't just affect you, it affects, you know, several people. So just keep an eye out for that. Then we come into the Taurus lunar eclipse. Whatever happens around here in April is going to culminate, complete, or fully express here in November. All right, so just be aware that this energy is showing up on the 8th of November. We'll have the Taurus lunar eclipse. And you have the Strength card. The Strength card has been very active for November of 2022. This tells me that the countries that are ruled by the Strength card, parts of France, Italy, Spain, all of these countries are likely to be going through something around this time of the year, and I'll be interested to see what happens. This also speaks to your own physical health and vitality, but it also, one of the messages that I gave one of the other numbers was, this is a time where your perseverance and your endurance are really going to be tested, all right? So November's going to be a challenging month, be aware. But it looks like you sail through it because you've got the Six of Wands. This is gorgeous. If there's something that you've wanted to do on the physical plane, whether this is buying a new home, let's say, moving to a different place in the world, November is the month where it all finally comes together or comes good for you. Remember what I said. So it looks like whatever you had planned for, let's say, July and August, there are delays, right? You can see that there are delays. So whatever was supposed to happen around that time for you, November is the time where it will actually pick up and go ahead. All right, don't be disheartened by that. Remember what I said about this, right? There's delays, yes, there's holdbacks and hold-ups and all the rest of it, but they really are for your highest good. And then finally, for December, you have the Empress. What a way to finish the year, right? Fruitful endeavors, juicy goods as well. And that comes with the Star card. So if you're planning to launch, for those of you that are planning to launch anything online, like an online beauty business, maybe you want to make products, maybe you want to make products or clothing that is kind to the environment, etc., all highly favored this year. If you're launching in December, you will do absolutely brilliantly. This also suggests as well, for some of you, you're interacting with a group of women or a group of specifically young women in some way, shape or form. Maybe this is where you're finding a newfound sense of community, or you are offering something that targets that as an audience. If you're releasing a product in time for the holidays, you will absolutely smash it. This also suggests to me as well that December on the wider world stage, we are very likely to be seeing some new technology, some new advancement in some way, shape or form that is just really great for the world. On a more personal level, there is like a hope for an abundant future here. So I kind of feel like December's going to be the month where you settle in. All right. So whatever it is that came up for you, whatever the delays were, like that's the month where it really pays off. Okay. And then for your key to the year card from the Human Design Oracle deck, you have the Gate 22 and Grace. And the message behind this is, just like the Lovers, true partnership, true connection. Why? Because swans mate for life. That's what's on the card, right? The Grace card, the swan. And it reminds us that finding the right partner is what really life is all about, right? In all ways, shapes and forms. And then finally, what this also tells you is, use this year to create from a space of feeling good. Forget whether it does well, forget whether it goes viral or anything like that. Create just because you love to create. Write because you love to write. Speak because you love to speak. Whatever you go on to make, create, generate, do, discover, etc., do it because you love it. The more you tap into that energy, the higher it will be for everybody else. And that's the truth of it. When people love what they do, other people will love it too. All right, that's the secret to life, I believe, or one of them, aside from butter and cheese. Some randomness. All right, so your challenging months that you're going to need to watch out for. Look, April I like, but we've got to call a spade a spade. It could be a little bit dicey, right? July and August could both also be months that are a little bit rocky. As could September. I would say for the most part, what's promising to be challenging in November for you is actually quite neutral. Your power months will look, I mean, January, February, March, right? Power month. I like May. I think this Scorpio eclipse is going to be quite kind to you guys. October, love. November I like, and December I absolutely love. I mean, out of all of the life paths so far, yours is definitely looking to be one of the best. I'm really intrigued to see how this will play out for you. Let me know in the comments. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have an amazing 2022. Let me know in the comments how this speaks to you, whether you love it, whether you loathe it, and keep me posted on how it plays out for you. With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.